Dance Your Heart on Fire podcast, episode number 108.
DJ Six.
Welcome to the Dance Your Heart on Fire podcast, the podcast dedicated to inspiring dancers worldwide whose hearts have been touched by music and dance. The universal language of dance and music is spoken by many of us throughout the world. We want to motivate the dancer in you by sharing stories, insights, and ideas to enhance your journey. Join us now with your host, Charles Ogar.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Dance Your Heart on Fire podcast. We are here with my brother, DJ Sync, on the line. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm doing really good, man. Trying to survive in this crazy time that we're living in. Not even talking about dance yet. Just in life with COVID has been a little bit crazy. But I'm pretty sure you'll share some stories and things of that nature. But other than that, I've been very well. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to come and have a chat. I know before we were trying to get some dates going, and then you were traveling and I was traveling, and it gets a little bit crazy, but we made it happen.
We make it finally.
Definitely. For the people that are listening to the podcast, maybe they're in Zouk, maybe they're in some other dance style, maybe this is the first time that they're hearing about you. In a short bio, what would you say? I guess you can give people a little bit of intro about who you are.
So who is DJ Sync? So I started back in 2012. Okay, 2011, 2012. I used to do more hip-hop stuff, dance a lot, listen a lot of music, Kanye West, Rick Ross, and all the stuff. But when I was Rose, you know. So, when I was kid, my dad put me to a music school where I learned piano, and then after I went to an orchestra where I learned all the African rhythms, and I learned to play guitar. I learned to play drums. I was the guy that tried to play everything, touch everything a little bit, have a basic in every gender, you know. So then I went to Canada in 2011, 2012.
So I want to take a quick moment here. Yeah. So you said that when you were a kid,
yes.
We're going to get more into the depth of your journey before, but just to add some context, where are you from originally? Because you said you were a kid and you're in school there, and then you went to Canada. So I just wanted to kind of give our listeners that information.
Absolutely. So I'm from Togo. It's a small country in West Africa. So I'm born there, and I went to school there, and I immigrated in Canada in 2009.
Nice.
So
Sweet.
After when I came to Canada, it was in 2011, 2012. I was graduating for accounting. So I started in accounting 3 years. And I have my bachelor.
I did not know this.
I know a lot of people don't know that. So I learned accounting. But after that, then I started to do what I really liked, you know. So at that time, I was more into hip-hop, Rose, Kanye West, Jay-Z and stuff. And a friend of mine was like, Sync, come, we're gonna go to a Kizomba party, because we all watched this video of Sarah Lopez and Albir, which have millions of views today. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. Let's go check it out. And then I was like, oh no, I want to just go clubbing and stuff. So she insisted. And
do I know who this person is?
I said, no, it's just a friend of mine. She stopped dancing and she's back in Africa too right now. You don't know.
Okay, I got you.
So after that, I went to this first Kizomba party, and immediately I felt in love in Kizomba. So I really...
Where was the party? This was in Montreal?
It was in Montreal. It was at Espace des Arts with Manuel Dos Santos. At that time, he was the only one that was doing Kizomba at that time. Back in 2012.
That makes sense.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I fell in love in Kizomba. So practicing was really something that I was doing like every day, even if we had like only one social per week at that time. So it was only once a day we can dance kizomba. So that's the time that I met Sammy, and then we used to practice every day. And then I wasn't even gonna be a teacher of kizomba, but as I practiced so much and people wanted me to show them some moves and all that stuff, and finally some friends asked me, saying, you really need to start teaching because your level is great and people need you to help us master kizomba. So I was like, okay, I can. I don't know how to teach, but I'm okay to learn and to help people to get better and have the love of kizomba too. And then I became a teacher for 1 year, I would say. And then after I met Babs and Ophia, which was in Kizolove. Then I went to Kizolove, and then we were the group of Kizolove, 3 guys that loves kizomba. We danced for maybe 3-4 years together, practicing, teaching people in Montreal, doing shows, doing everything. And then at our 4th anniversary, we invited DJ Zykes to Montreal to DJ for our 3rd anniversary. And when I heard DJ Zykes played, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. This is what I really connected to his music, and I really wanted to learn how to DJ. And then I started. YouTube was my teacher. I was asking my friends, when I go to a club, I met a DJ, I would go watch his turntables, his controllers. I would go back home, watch YouTube, learn, ask questions. And a few years after, this is DJ Sing Today, you sing.
Nice. We'll definitely talk about different parts of that. We'll talk a little bit about Kizolove.
For sure.
We'll talk about social dancing in Montreal, 649, all this stuff. Yeah. So you're telling the story, and I was like reminding me of all these things because Montreal.
We're gonna go back slowly.
Montreal is one of my favorite places to go dance. So I think it'll be even good to talk a little bit about the kizomba scene in Montreal, because I feel like out of all the cities in North America, Montreal is the place, obviously before COVID, where you can go dance kizomba multiple times a week. And this really helps the level to grow when you have enough instructors, enough organizers, enough DJs and things of this nature to provide the social dancing opportunities for the people to dance. And then when you have repetition as an instructor, this is how you get better,
Absolutely. Practice is everything. Practice is everything.
So let's talk about the music in Togo. I know you mentioned that you were born there and you were in the musical school there, and you said you were in an orchestra. And so...
Exactly.
But this was an orchestra in Africa. So obviously, like, I think of orchestra, I think about like violins and cellos and all these kind of things. Is that similar to what it was in Togo in Africa?
No. So I know in the States and Canada and France, when you say orchestra, you mean violin and cello and all that stuff. But it was more an orchestra of church. So we have basically a solo guitar, a bass guitar, a drums, and some African instruments that you play in church. So it was not the big thing that we see in the TVs, It's more guitar solo, guitar bass, battery, piano, and a lot of African instruments. Yeah.
Can you share some of these African instruments? Is there like a name we can YouTube and maybe put in the show links for the people? Because I feel like it's important to share this kind of musical, I guess, culture in Africa, because we don't have that. We're not exposed to that here in the States,
Yeah. So I have the African names. I have the African names for sure. But in English, I can look for it and get back to you. But I have the French name and the African name. Is it
Okay.
good?
Yeah. If you can find the name or something like that, we'll include some links in the show notes of this podcast so the people listening can go and kind of like check that out a little bit.
Excellent, excellent. So we have the gong. We call it gong. It's basically an instrument that you play with a little stick. So it's basically your BPM. It gives the rhythm to the whole dance. So after we have some little drums like djembe. I don't know if you heard about it. Djembe. It's a little drum that we do with the skin of goats. And you make it dry and you put it on the hood. And when you hit it, it makes some great sounds. So, and we have a third one, which is made with du fer. I don't know how to say it in English, but you hit it with another stick too. So basically, you can make your rhythm with that. Yeah. But I will absolutely include it in the link as well.
Yeah, I was very curious to hear that for sure. That's dope. So this is what you learned in the orchestra, which is also a part of the school that your father put you in?
Absolutely. So the school that my father put me in, it's a piano school. So that's where I learned how to read the sheets and really trying to play it. It was classical music, jazz music, and blues music. So I did a lot of concert, a lot of championship, I would say. So it was competition, basically music competition, and you will travel and perform in front of juries, and they will put you on mark, and we'll see who wins. Yeah, I did like 2 times. I didn't win, but it was really give me a lot of experience and learning in music, you know.
So would you say the piano is the instrument that you feel the most comfortable with?
Comfortable, yes, absolutely. Piano is my main instrument, yeah.
Nice. So you said that you were studying jazz and things of that nature earlier. Was this like American jazz at that time?
Yes, absolutely. You have a lot of chords to learn. You have an improvisation part, and you have some sheets to read and to play in real time, you know. So it was really interesting to learn. All that things give me a solid base that I use today when I'm producing music.
Yeah. And yes, that is something another chapter that we're going to have to talk about here is you producing music as well. Sure. So was this, you were in this school, was this before you were a teenager or while you were a teenager?
So I started at 6 years old and I stopped when I was 12. So I basically before. Did six years. Yes, it was before. So I was going there like 1 time a week. It was 3 hours every week. So I had basically a teacher who would show you everything, reading the sheet, playing the chords, playing the keys and all that stuff. Yeah.
Nice. And so when you said that you stopped in 2012, did you stop because that's when you came to Canada?
No. I stopped at 12 years old. Sorry.
Okay.
I stopped there because I was young and I wanted to play basketball, football, because at the same time we had school, right? So the only free time that I had was going basically to learn music. But when I was getting a little bit older, I wanted to do some different stuff. So I stopped going to that school, but I was doing like sport at that time. But you know, at that point, I had music in me already. So even when I stopped, I had a piano at home. Even when I immigrated in Canada after a few years later, I was missing music. So the first thing that I did when I came is going to buy a synthesizer so I can have music around me every time.
That's dope. So that went until you were 12 years old. So what happened between that time that you were 12 until the time that you came to Canada? And what was the reason for immigrating to Canada in the first place? So
after that, my Wednesday afternoon was basically to play basketball and football and not music anymore. But I was in that church. And it was a choir, and we was the orchestra who was playing for the choir. So we will play some gospel tracks we would play some music for the choir, basically. So between 12 years old until 16, 17, I was in that orchestra who was playing music for the choir. So I migrated in Canada because of school. So I finished school and I had to go to university in accounting. So there was university in Africa, but my parents wanted something interesting for me so I can get more experience and a different experience from what we have in Africa. So that's why I immigrated in Canada. And then when I get there, I really loved it.
And you came by yourself, or did you come with your family?
So I came by myself. My sisters and my brothers. My brother went to the United States in Europe, and my two sisters went to France, Paris. So I was the only one that went to Canada.
And so you went to Canada to start your university.
Exactly.
What made you choose accounting? Did you just really like numbers at that time, or was it your parents influencing you to choose that?
Exactly. I was really good in math, but my dad was an expert in accounting in here, so I followed that path. Yeah.
I got you. So how was the culture shock coming from Togo to Montreal? Did you already speak French, or did you have to learn French at that time? Like, let us know your feelings when you were like there in your first year of university in a new continent.
So, I was not really shocked because when I was in Togo, I used to go in summer in France or in the States for vacation. So for me, it was something normal for me. And we used to speak French in Togo because Togo has been colonized by French. So
fucking
by
colonizers, man.
Yeah, colonizers. So when I came in Canada, it was French speaking. So it was easy to me to adapt myself. And the only hard part was to learn English. So you can see that my English is not perfect, but English was the hardest thing to learn and to be able to speak like this, because I had this fear to make mistake and look really stupid when I'm speaking, you know? So that was the hard part for me. Yeah.
So how many languages do you speak now?
So now I speak 3 languages, my native language, my African language, my vernacular. It's called Mina, and I speak English and French. I learned Spanish at school. I speak hablo un poco español, but that's it. I know you speak Spanish though. I heard you. I was like, what? I was like, crazy. This guy speaks Spanish like fluently.
I'm very fluent in Spanish. And then, je parle un peu français. J'ai mon ami.
Mon ami.
Mon ami. Wait for it. Wait. I forgot how to say my name is. How do you say my name is in French? Or there's another way to say it.
Mon nom est Charles.
Je m'appelle
Charles.
Yeah, there we go. Mon ami, j'appelle Melina.
Okay.
Tu connais Melina?
That's good. Ouais, je connais Melina. I know her.
Melina me aide beaucoup pour prendre français.
Yeah, she helped you a lot to speak French. That's good.
Yes. My pronunciation, the French pronunciation is hard. I can understand it reading it.
English is much easier.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Melina helped me a lot to learn, and she was like, okay, this resources, go to this side, this thing. And so she was helping me a lot to learn. Yeah. I do Duolingo every now and then, but I still need more practice speaking. But anyway,
for sure, practice is key for sure.
So you're in Montreal, you're studying accounting, and you're learning English. You already learned how to speak French and things of that nature. So how did that go in the university until your graduation? Did you do anything with music or dance in the university?
So no, at that time I was really focused on school. So no kizomba. I was just hearing music. So I have my garage band on my Mac. So I would have my synthesizer and just trying to make hip hop beats. I would try to make hip hop beats, play piano, play my church song, and that was it. And then I wasn't even dancing that much at that time. Yeah. When I finished graduating, that's the time that I had like 2 years finalizing my paper for residence and all that stuff. So I had time, no working. So was that time I started Kizomba.
Let's talk a little bit about your hip hop. Did you do hip hop in Togo before you came to Montreal?
Exactly. I used to dance in a group, so we can dance crump music, hip hop music, and we will do even shows on R&B and hip hop music. So I was already dancing hip hop. So in Togo, yeah.
Are there any YouTube videos of you dancing hip hop that we can share to the people?
Fortunately, at that time, it was more on our cell phones. The network is not what it was like 15 years ago, you know? So it was more just on our own recording, but not on YouTube.
I got you.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about the influence of American hip hop and R&B in Africa, because I find this very fascinating as well.
So I will tell you that hip hop, American hip hop, was one of the main after our traditional stuff. Okay, after our traditional cultural stuff, music, from a basic from a viewpoint of Occidental music, hip hop was the first music that we will hear at the radio. We will watch at the TV. So we will see Craig David. We will see Jay-Z. We will see Kanye West. We will see Rick Ross. So our TV, we will see that like a lot. So a lot of Togolese people then start Togolese hip hop. So you would go to the club, you would dance. Yeah, so you would go to the club after our traditional music and all that stuff. We will play a lot of hip hop, and the young generation was really liking it. So we had a lot of influence from American music, yeah, for sure. And not only the dance, but the style too. We will wear some big jersey. We will wear some big hats, some big jeans and stuff. Get some Air Force, some Timberlands, and some stuff. Looks so big. Get some chains. You know, it was like crazy. Yeah.
Nice. It's interesting to see the global influence of hip hop, you know, that is spreading across the world, you know, in a lot of different places.
The word, yeah. It was really huge, I can tell you.
That's super dope. So how did that play into you starting to create beats? Because you mentioned that you did hip hop beats. So is that how you kind of took your music background when you were younger? You said you were on the piano from like 6 to 12, and then you kind of took a break, and then you're doing other things. But then you said you're kind of part of this hip hop group. So is that how you kind of like, okay, let me take my musical knowledge and start creating hip hop beats, or how did it go?
When I finished, when I was in the university, my free time, like I didn't have so many friends because I wasn't in a residence. I had my own apartment. So I can stay at home like 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 month, not seeing friends. So my only escape from school was music. So as I didn't have my friends to really communicate and, share some experience, sing together, play together, jamming and all that stuff.
So you didn't have any girls that were like chasing you? Oh, see, be my boyfriend.
I had some, but she won't be a singer. She won't have my basics in music. So I would be like, let's try this and let's do this. But she can't follow me because she wasn't at my level too, you see. So I had some girlfriends for sure, but I was really far from her, you know. But she was liking what I was doing. She was like, oh, you're super great, you're super dope, what you're doing, your music is great and stuff. So it was really when I was spending time hearing music, and I would try to play piano on what I was hearing. So that really helped me to develop my musical ear, you know? So I would take like a random track from Kanye West, and I would try to play my piano and match the chords and I would be like, oh, it's great and stuff. So finally, when I was hearing music, I would try to hear the details, not just hearing the whole track, but look at the background. What was in the background? Why he using this chord? Why we hearing this guitar, and analyzing? So it developed completely my hearing of the music, you know. So slowly I was like, oh, I can make this. So if I put my piano, I put a layer of piano, I put a layer of drums, I put a layer of guitar, I put a layer of bass. What does it sound like, you know? So slowly, all the time that I had is to try and to see if I can be Kanye West, because he was. I say a lot Kanye West because I love him. I love his music. I don't love what he's thinking and all that stuff, but musical, just musical part. This guy is a genius, you know, is a genius. Yes. So it was really inspiring for me, and slowly I tried to really do my first beats. But by the way, I have one of my first hip hop beats that I can send you, so you can put it in the link.
Is it on SoundCloud?
No. It is in my files, so I will send it to you personally. Okay. But people can hear it. No worries. Yeah.
Yeah, I can put a link. We can find a way and maybe put it like on a Google Drive or something like that, so people can listen to it.
Cool.
So one question before we get into Kizomba. You mentioned Togolese rap. Do you know of like an artist or two that people could YouTube to listen to rap from Togolese?
Absolutely.
Like a rapper?
Yes.
Which rapper should people YouTube?
Yeah. So today there is a lot new ones, you know. But those that I hear back in the days, you can say Ali J's. So ALI space JEZZ.
Okay.
So this is one of the first one, and the second one you can tap Eric ERIC space MC. So Eric MC. So those two are one of the guys that I used to hear a lot. Those African beats, Togolese hip hop that was huge in Togo, and their influence from American hip hop like really put the Togolese hip hop at a great level. But today, I tell you, in 2021, there is like a lot, and it's like really crazy, really good, and really it's getting crazy, bro.
Because this is kind of how Ghetto Zouk started. Yeah, with Nelson Freitas and Johnny Ramos. Yes. You know, they're coming from Africa, immigrated to Rotterdam. They're getting inspired by American hip hop. They're taking their roots and mixing it with something new. And this is how Ghetto Zouk was born. And Ghetto Zouk paved the way for Urban Kids. So it's very crazy. But I'll definitely add some music from these two rappers just to see like what it sounds like, because it's interesting to kind of Okay. So Kizomba, you mentioned that you went to a party of Manuel dos Santos at Espace des Arts. Espace des Arts is like the headquarters of all the dancing.
Oh, sure. It's at the corner of our two main streets, Sainte Catherine and Saint Laurent, at downtown Montreal, and it was the place to be at that time. It was the only place, basically, one of the only place that you can go and dance salsa, dance bachata, dance kizomba. We have a few more, but this one was central, and everyone was going there.
Definitely. So you mentioned you went there, you started taking classes, you met Sammy. And what was it that hooked you about Kizomba? You said that you like fell in love with it, or it really made an impact on you. What made an impact for you?
So the thing is, Kizomba wasn't really new to me because we already had zouk, but not Brazilian zouk. Anti
Caribbean
zouk and Caribbean zouk, So I was already used to the rhythm, and don't forget that I was playing that same rhythm that we have in our orchestra. It was the same rhythm, so it was really something normal to me. But when I discovered Kizomba and I watched the steps, it was technical. It was not just like basic one, like how people dance normal Caribbean zouk. I was like fascinating. I was like, yo, those guys learned the step. Oh, this is a choreography. So people would be like, no. The guy is leading and it's like improvisation straight. So I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? How can she follow like perfectly like this? So it get my attention at 2000%.
Nice. So, and to give context, this is before Urban Kids, or were you listening to like Kizomba Semba, or was it more Tarraxinha, or was it more Ghetto Zouk, or was it a mix of everything?
So at that time, Urban Kids didn't even exist at that time. We didn't have a name for Urban Kids. It was just Kizomba Semba Tarraxinha. So at that time, no Urban Kids at all. Even LG and all that stuff didn't start producing that much. So it was really Ghetto Zouk, Tarraxinha, and Kizomba Semba.
Awesome. So you go to this, you find out about Kizomba, you start practicing and things of that nature. And you said that you met Sammy not too long after?
Exactly. So what was happening is that I used to go to Manuel dos Santos classes. I didn't take some class with Manuel dos Santos, but I met this guy, Ofia, one of my best friends. So when I go to the party and I was watching him dance with his girlfriend of that time, I was like, oh my God, I need to dance like this guy. So I'm someone that when I like something and when I love someone, or the way that someone does something, I will do everything to learn from him because I love like having a mentor. So I won't make a lot of mistakes. So he will show me the path to get to a great level fast and not making a lot of mistakes and not lose some time. So I went to see my friend Ofia and I was like, bro, I need to learn Kizomba, but I'm watching everyone dance, Manuel and all those guys that dancing at that time. And I want to be like you. I want to dance like you. The way that you dance, your style and everything talks to me. So I want you to learn. So he gave me like maybe a 4-hour classes. So I went to his place. We have a friend and he showed me all the basics. We spent like maybe 4 hours chilling, drinking and learning. And he gave me one class. And after that, he was like, after this, you don't need anything because you're catching the step really fast. You have the thing already because I have the rhythm already. So for me, it was to understand what was going on. So when I learned Saidas, when I learned basic steps, I have a notion of leading. So I start practicing like non-stop. So I will go to that practice on Wednesday and pay my entrance, do the free class and practice like until the end. And dancing with people, a lot of people, and I danced with Sammy. Sammy was a wonderful dancer at that time. And we directly matched, like dancing with her. I would stop everything to just go dance with Sammy. So I will do everything to be able to be free on Wednesday to be able to dance with Sammy. And even when there wasn't some socials, I will tell her, Sammy, can we practice today, Thursday? Yeah, she will come to my place. We will practice. Friday, can you do tomorrow? Yeah, we will. So we used to practice like every day, non-stop, maybe on 1 year or 2 years. Imagine how much we practiced. So nobody at that time in Montreal practiced as much as me. So that's why my level went really, really up, really, really fast.
Nice. So Did you meet Sammy at a party or something like that? Sammy's also
Yes.
someone I want to bring on the show. I'll make sure that I
Absolutely.
share a video of her dancing. She's a dope follow, very
Absolutely.
strong in Afro House and things of this nature. So can you tell us a story about
Absolutely.
how you guys met?
So we met at the party. She was in Manuel Dos Santos' team at that time. She would do Afro House and shows and everything with Manuel Dos Santos. So she was in the team. She was in the show choreography team and stuff. So I will come to the party, the weekly party of Manuel, and I know she's there all the time. So I was going every day just to be able to dance with her because she was one of the only follow that can follow me like perfectly because the level of the other people was a little bit less at that time.
Who else was around in the dance scene at that time? Because it wasn't just Manuel Dos Santos. Because I guess maybe were there multiple places to dance yet in Montreal at that time? Were there other DJs? Like, give us a snapshot of the scene in Montreal at that time.
So at that time, we had like two DJs. So the two DJs when I started in Kizomba really was DJ Fofoja and DJ Angel Design. So those two were the first two DJs that when I was starting to learn, they were starting to DJ too. It was their beginning too. So DJs Fofoja was more into dancehall and stuff, but he has a really, really great playlist of Cabo Zouk, Cabo Love, and all that stuff. And Angel Design basically started with Manuel Dos Santos, and he was really interested into music. So he started at Nico Cramp's party. So he started DJing there. So at that time, we had at that time, we had Manuel Dos Santos and everyone, Babs, Nico Cramp, Angel Design, Fofoja, all those guys used to come to Manuel Dos Santos. So short story, Manuel Dos Santos had a lot of trouble and a lot of stories, long stories. And then people starting to do their own stuff, you know. So Babs Kizolov started to do his own parties and stuff. Nico Crump started to do his own parties. Yvon Sanchez started to do his own parties. So Fofoja was DJing for Babs. Angel Design would DJ for Nico Crump. And Yvon will have maybe Fofoja or maybe Angel Design. So the scene was getting slowly bigger. You know, maybe we will be in 2013, 2014. So slowly, the scene was getting bigger. So you will have maybe Wednesday, this guy, Manuel. Thursday, you will have another party. Tuesday, you will have Nico Crump, and Sunday you will have Babs. So slowly we had like 3 social in Montreal. Yeah.
And I feel like I've heard many cities that struggle to get socials going in their cities. And I think you've traveled to a couple of cities and things of that nature as well. And I feel there's something, I'm curious to hear your perspective on this. I feel like there's something in the French culture because Paris is the hotspot for Kizomba, like one of the top places to go to in the world for Kizomba Semba, to Urban Kids, to Tata Show, you know, Anna, Curtis, Moon, all these guys were in Paris. And even before Urban Kids was a thing, it was like Parisian style Kizomba.
Yes.
That was already a thing that kind of had its difference, you know? And I feel like some of that bleeds over into Montreal because it's also a French-speaking place. Those are at least the similarities that I see. And sometimes I go to Montreal and I walk into a social, I see like 10 black guys, 10 or more black guys, you know? But you go to other cities in the US, you don't see as many black guys to go through. So I'm pretty sure you've noticed this as well. What do you think that the reason is for that?
So I would be like, I think it's really the first. I think two reasons: Africans and Caribbeans. In France, we have a big population of Caribbeans: Guadeloupe, Martinique, Île de la Réunion. So all those guys are already used to Zouk, Caribbean Zouk. So it was easy to do the transition into kizomba and getting a hip hop style, all the change of the music, and get them slowly to urban keys. In Montreal, it's the same thing. We have a big population of African because you can speak French. So all those colonized countries, Togo, Benin, Senegal, Cameroon, all those countries that speak French has a huge community of French speaker in Montreal. So it's easy to get those guys in the kizomba scene because the music is something that they already know a little bit, or it's similar to their culture, so it's easy for them to do it. So I will be like Africans, French speakers, Africans, and Caribbean speakers. I know that in the States it's more you guys still African, but with slaves and all that story, or your story is more in the state today, so you're not really connected in the young age at those culture, at my opinion. So it was easy for us to dance and to feel the vibe, I would say. Yeah,
I got you. Yeah, I was curious to hear your perspective on that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're learning, people started asking you to start to teach. And then you said before in your university, you were already working on hip hop beats. And I'm pretty sure since this was around 2013, 2014, 2015, this is when LG dropped his album. And I feel like that really opened up the door for a lot of musicians to start doing instrumentals and dubstep and all these things. What went through your mind and what happened in Montreal around that time? Because I feel like that was a very pivotal year, or that time period for kizomba.
Yes. So, short story. At the time, as we had kizomba was a little bit new. It was getting bigger. So we would have party, for example, where you have maybe 30% of bachata, 30% of salsa, and 20% of kizomba and cha-cha-cha and compa and all that stuff. So I didn't learn to dance salsa and bachata. So when the DJ would be playing salsa and bachata, everybody would sit down and wait for the kizomba time, So it was frustrating to just wait. We wanted some kizomba only, So I went to another school, which was the 649. So I wanted to learn salsa because the music of salsa really touches me. So I really like the vibe of salsa, how I can feel the instrument, because it was an orchestra, like I would say, and I can feel the guitar, I can feel the bass, I can feel the instruments, I can feel everything. It was real to me. So I was like, no, I need to learn salsa. So I went to the 649 and I started learning salsa. So I did salsa 1, salsa 2, salsa 3, salsa 4, salsa 5. So after that, my teacher, who was Sandra Campanelli, she went to Kizo Love Party one time and she saw me dancing kizomba. She was like, what? You dance kizomba at that level? You need to be a teacher at my school. I was like, no, I can't teach. Okay. I don't even know how to teach. I don't know. She was like, don't worry, we gotta find out, but your level, you can really help to teach, So she was the first school that I start teaching kizomba. So at the beginning, I couldn't even count the music. 5, 6, 7, 8, let's go. I would count like late. People would be like, what are you counting? It was really hard at the beginning. But slowly I was learning how to count for people, and because you can be a really great dancer, but that does not mean you're gonna be a good teacher, right? So
so two different different skill sets.
Exactly. So that was a big learning from me. So after that, when I start teaching, it was like, okay, I left a little bit the hip hop because I was really, really in love with kizomba, salsa, and social dancing and all that stuff. And when I come back home, I will be hearing more kizomba music, more samba music, more salsa music and stuff. So hip hop went to the second plan. So after that, that's the time where slowly we start watching new dancers. That will be Ena, that will be Curtis Seldon, that will be
Noel. People don't give Noel enough credit. This guy, if you can watch one of his demos from today, and it looks like it came out last week. This guy was really a trailblazer in the way that he was dancing. 4 or 5 years ago. It's crazy.
100%. So Noel, actually, I took Emmanuel Dos Santos brought him to Montreal like two, 3 times. So I take privates with him, and his musicality, the way that he understands music is like insane. So his style was talking to me a lot. So I take some private with Ena because we brought him to Montreal too. So I took private with Ena, I took private with Noel. So that helps me to a lot to correct some little things, because we will not work some steps, because all those steps I will watch YouTube and do it straight. I will just see the step, I will do it because my level of practice was really high, so I can understand really, really fast. But there was just okay, do your marker like this. Do your keep your hands like this. The style of like this. They would teach me some little stuff that completely changed my dance. It would be like step like this. Start with your tippy toes and slowly go down. So little details that change everything in my dance. So the music that they were playing, the instrumentals, the LG exclusives, the and the exclusive start at that time, So LG exclusive that they will play in the workshops, so everybody will be like, "Oh my God,
where are you getting this music?" Yes,
that track. Who is LG? And after that, you will go to YouTube and look for LG. So I will go to YouTube and look for everything on his channel. So I will see his tuning in studios. I will see how he make beats with his MPC. I will look like at everything. So Kizomba, I was like, okay, you know what? I used to do hip hop and all that stuff, but right now I will get into Kizomba. I want to do those instrumentals. I want to do those exclusive. I can do it. And when I'm like, I'm going to do it, I will do everything because I want to get to that level. I want to be the best. I want to do something that I will love so people will like too. So my goal was to be able to make some instrumentals at that time. So LG was my first inspiration. Hearing how he using dubstep into Kizomba. So as I was already dancing hip hop in the past, so the music touched my soul like big time. So I would spend like days, weeks, and months just learning how to make my sound sound great, So my music sound great, and I will ask some questions. I will take some private with other DJs. I will do everything just to put my game at that level.
So this is interesting. So there's 2 things in my mind. I know in Urban Kids, we talk a lot about Curtis, Ena, and Moon and things of this nature. Yes. For me, even before them, I feel like we have to talk about Albier. We have to talk about Noel, and we have to talk about Felicien and Isabel, because I feel like they were kind of the first ones that started dancing Kizomba in a different way with the syncopations and things of this nature. And then, Ena, Moon, and them came in, because when I started, Albier was my first private for Kizomba. So that even helped me start to view Kizomba in a different way. But it's interesting to hear, because I think I remember vaguely seeing flyers of you guys bringing artists to Montreal to train as things were starting in the country, or starting in the US at least. And I feel like Montreal was kind of like its own little bubble. And it wasn't until you came to Neo-Kiz, and now that kind of opened up to the door. It's like, oh, you guys are in Montreal. You guys have social. You guys have things. There's some people here. But before, it wasn't as wide knowledge that there was a lot of talent that was in Montreal. And now I feel like now that people are really curious about you and your style, and Tara and Babs and all these people, it's like people know that Montreal is a destination. But I feel like before it was kind of like, oh, these French people are doing some stuff up there, you know? Do you remember Eloise?
Eloise, for sure. Eloise was one of my partners. I used to practice a lot with Eloise.
Nice.
Eloise taught me a lot of stuff. I taught her how to dance properly kizomba, but this girl can dance like everything and moves her body in every sense that you can imagine, you know. So
I'm going to share a video of her in the show notes so people can recognize who she is, because I think a lot of people don't know about
her. Absolutely, because she stopped dancing a little bit. She went, in her business stuff, and so she stopped dancing a little bit. But this girl was definitely one of the dancers that I used to dance a lot with. Sammy, Eloise, and other Montreal dancers. But to come back on your what you just said, absolutely, we had Albert in Montreal. Kizomba Sem Limit brought them. We had Félicien and Isabelle, we brought them in Montreal, and Enuel, all those guys. And what I would say is that all those guys was for sure Félicien and Isabelle inspiration for us, And I said more Ena, Curtis, and Enuel and Moon because their style match mine, but for sure Félicien and Isabelle was one of the first. Albir definitely was one of her first, and that was even the first time that I danced with Sarah Panero. He came with Sarah Panero. That was one of my best dance ever with Isabelle.
Yes, she's a beast.
Crépin. She's a beast. She can follow everything, and the attitude and everything was so perfect. But I took some inspiration for all those dancers. Thank you for reminding me those guys, because they participate in my learning for sure.
I'm looking at a video now from 2017 of Eloise and Tara.
So
on YouTube. YouTube is crazy how it's like a time capsule.
You can find everything. So Eloise actually showed Tara a lot of stuff. I can tell because we used to. I saw when Tara started, and she did really great. She was really passionate and learned really quick because she was a dancer. But Eloise was one of the first that taught Tara how to dance kizomba for sure. Yes.
This is awesome. And, the history is important.
Yes, for sure. And to come back on what you said about Montreal scene, Montreal get to a lot of trouble. What I would say is that people wouldn't work all together. Everybody will do his stuff. Kizolov will do his stuff. It's correct, but in my opinion, to have a better community and to transmit the patient better, when everybody works well together, when everybody is together to all the events, when the passion is the first thing that we want to share, not I would say the fame or the money or all that stuff that can come trouble the dance itself. I see, in my opinion, Montreal suffered a little bit for that in the past, but today we're doing better, and we are working all together, and that's what I think build community better.
It makes sense. It's interesting at the beginning because it's like maybe people think this is going to be like a gold rush. We're going to do kizomba and 1 million people are going to come and we're going to be millionaires. But it's like, it's not the case to have that. So it takes really building the community dancer by dancer, social by social, and things of this nature. And social, you have to make the pie big. Exactly. If the pie is not big enough, then any little thing comes and it just kind of like completely starts from scratch again,
Exactly. So yeah, so in the state, you guys wouldn't hear a lot about Canada, what was going on. It was like a bubble, like you said. Everything that was happening in Montreal was staying in Montreal, but slowly we opened that door because the US is just our neighbors, you know. So today, I'm really happy. I'm really happy that we have this connection between the US and the Canada, because we can really do some huge stuff with our two communities. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like if you're going to measure the growth of a dance community, there has to be instructors and there has to be multiple instructors and multiple DJs. You just can't have one school that's the only option. You can't have just one DJ that's doing all the DJs. There needs to be multiple ones. So who knows how many Kizomba instructors were in Montreal before COVID? There were a lot.
Yeah, a lot. We used to have socials every day, Monday to Monday. You can dance Kizomba in Montreal. So Monday we had a party. Tuesday we have 649. Wednesday we have Salsa Zouk with Kizomba, all that stuff. Thursday we have Bailak Augusto. Friday we have every day you can dance Kizomba. That was amazing.
Also, you mentioned 649 about your salsa classes, but then this is also the place where you started your Tuesday thing on 649.
So
yeah, tell us the story about that.
Short story. So I started learning salsa in 649. So I used to go to that place every week, and then the boss of 649 saw me dancing Kizomba, and she was like, "Oh, you need to teach Kizomba in my class, in my school." I was like, "Okay, I'm down, but it's gonna be hard because I'm not a teacher. I'm not patient. For me, you have to understand fast. Otherwise, bro, go play basketball or badminton is not for you, you know." So my patience was not really for me. You have to understand fast because it's easy, you know, but it was hard for me to understand that not everyone understand fast as I do, you know. So just being able to break down the steps, break down everything to the student was a big one. So I took the time. I learned from others. I went to some other class, so I learned how to teach the pedagogy and to see how to teach people. So after that, my classes was on Tuesday. So I will give Kizomba 1. After 6 weeks, those people was in love with Kizomba 2 because we were able to transmit the patient really good. So they will be like, okay, what's next? We want more. So we will open a second class, Kizomba 2. We open an advanced class, Kizomba 3. So after that, people want now to dance. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna play a playlist because at that time I wasn't a DJ. So I would just, because that I have a good playlist of tracks that I like. So I will put my tracks on the playlist on virtual DJ. So the music will play and I will just dance after the class with everyone that stays. So I have my two friends, Ofia, Koku, and Fanja. We will be like 5, 6 after the class, and we will dance from 9 until 2 a.m. And we'll be like, bro, we're working tomorrow. Let's go home. And next week is the same thing. Next week is the same thing. And slowly, our student went from 4 to 5 to 6 people that stay after the class, 7 people that stay after the class. But what happened is that at the same time, Nico Crump has his Kizomba social at another venue. So a lot of people didn't used to come to my party because there was already another party and with a DJ design. And my place wasn't a DJ, it was just a playlist, so just for practice. So slowly I was getting to 10 people staying after the class, 12 people starting. Slowly, I'm talking about 2016, 17, 18, you know. And when finally DJ Zaex came, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to start DJing learn. So slowly, the 649 for me was the place to just practice and to try my DJ learning stuff, you know. So I would go on Amazon and buy a little controller, a small one, and just instead of playing like playlist, I will connect my controller and start DJing slowly, just dancing maybe half an hour, 1 hour with my student. And for the rest of the time, I will try my transition. I will try this. And I wasn't that great at the beginning because DJ is not just playing a track after the order, It's really understand the technique, you really understand the vibe, the spirit and all that stuff. So slowly I was learning and I couldn't wait every time to be Tuesday so I could practice with big speakers and subs and tops and all that stuff, because the 649 is a Latin club. So the sound system was amazing. It was made by one of the best salsa DJ I know in Montreal, Ricky Campanelli is a friend of mine. So the sound system was so great that when I was playing LG dubstep stuff, you can hear the wobble, you can hear the bass, you can hear everything. And at the time, not a lot of clubs, studios dance has that type of sonorization
of sound system.
Sound system. So the experience that you get in 649 with the sound system was really different from any place in Montreal. I can say. So because in other studios it would be just 2 speakers. In other you will have 1 sub and that's it. But in 649 we have a clubbing system with 4 subs, big subs, and maybe 8 to 10 speakers. So I didn't have to put the volume up, but the music was excellent in the whole club. So my experience was really, really, really enjoyable for me and for the people. So slowly I continue to learn and to practice. So I changed my turntables because I wanted something better with a better sound cards. Few months later, I changed again. I changed my turntables in 1 year and a half. I changed my turntables like 5 times. So today I have the S9 and the CDJs. So I wanted to have the best quality. Why did I change to those turntables? Because I would have the SX2 or SX1, and every time we brought a DJ from Europe, they would be like, "Oh, I want an S9 with a CDJ." So I would be like, "Why we are mixing all the time with S6 and all that stuff?" And they have separate mixer and turntables and stuff. So DJ Shot, it was the same thing. DJ Zax, it was the same thing. Willie G was the same thing. So I went to Mogodio and I was like, okay, I'm going to rent this for one week so I can test it. So I tested it at home. So I couldn't wait to bring my S9 to 649. And that day where I played with the S9 for the first time at the 649 in renting, I was like, okay, you know what? I have 2 months. I'm going to buy my old S9. After 1 month, I bought it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't rented it yet, but that's something that's been on my list to try out.
Definitely try the S9. Good speakers. You will definitely love it. Today, we even have the S11 and it's getting crazy well. The CDG 3000 is getting new every day. Yeah.
That's awesome, brother.
Yeah.
Man, this is such a good podcast with so much history. Yeah, and I think it's good to kind of highlight some of the history in North America a little bit, because it's not documented anywhere, It's just the stories that we remember from here and there,
Exactly. That's really good that you're doing this, because people will know how it started and how it goes today. Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, it's getting close to an hour. Let's go ahead and start to, I guess, wind down the podcast. I wanted to have you talk a little bit, because now I don't know if you have to be one of the first Kizomba producers that are actually having tracks. Like if I go to your SoundCloud, I'm pretty sure I can find some tracks from like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And I don't know anybody in North America that was producing Kizomba specific instrumentals.
Exactly. So yeah, I will say that I was the first, because At that time when I started, no one was really producing Kizomba. And I think my first tracks, I even have some tracks from 2013, like my first tracks, my first ideas that I put in my DAW, I didn't put them out because my technique, my mixing technique, my mastering techniques, all the stuff wasn't on point. So I had to work really hard, learn really hard how to make, because you can have the idea in your head, but how to make it sound in real is not the same, right? So you need to learn the technique so you can make your music sound how you want. So that was the hardest part for me, because I know how to play the instrument. I know how to match the music. I know how to arrange my stuff, but how to make my bass and my kicks sound perfect, because those two are low frequencies. So if you don't know how to make it sound great, because it can sound really moody and not really clear, so the quality wouldn't be like perfect, not great. And when it's not great, I don't like it and I wouldn't even post it. So that was hard for me, just to learn this technique and to be able to post. But at that time when I was sharing one of my first tracks, nobody yet in North America was producing. LG was my first inspiration, and we even brought a friend of mine in Montreal, brought LG in Montreal. Can you imagine? LG went in my room. Can you imagine that LG was on my desktop, on my computer, and playing on that was a dream that day. I was like, no, I cannot imagine, because he had a show on Saturday in Montreal, and I know the organizer, so I told her, you know what? LG cannot come here and I won't see him. So I was at his sound check. We had a conversation, and on Sunday there was nothing. So he was free. So he came to my place. We chilled. We brought some alcohol and some stuff, and we had a great time just talking, discussing. He gave me some great advice, and it was for me like a dream to have LG in my place and to be able to share some music, some jamming with him. This guy is crazy. He's in his head, he's like a little kid, because what he would think, he would do it straight. He would tell you straight. He's like straightforward, and I had a really, really great experience for him. And then after we had Puto X was someone that I really had a great conversation with. He shared some experience with me. We even collaborate. We didn't put some tracks out, but for me at that time, I felt like I wasn't ready. Because he was at another level. So I was learning basically from him. So those guys, those two, LG and Puto X, gave me a lot of advice, I learned a lot from them for the structure, how they build their music and stuff, so I can make my own stuff. So when you see Puto X music, you see LG music, you see my music, you can feel a little something. I don't know if you ever notice something. You can feel a little something in the resemblance.
Damn. So much history.
So much history,
and,
bro.
And it's like the influences that you have to create your music and all that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I need to be sure to share your SoundCloud channel so people can check out some of your music and some of your mixes.
Yeah.
This is when you came to NeoKiz and killed it. People were like, we have to have DJ Sync back. So we're able to collaborate with NeoKiz. We're able to collaborate with the Crews. Yeah, it's going to be excited to like get more DJs, you know, because now people are going to hear your music. They're going to get inspired from you. They're going to start wanting to DJ and produce and things of this nature. And I feel like in Europe, you have a lot of high quality producers. So I feel like now we have Mojo, we have Art, we have you and some other people that are starting to produce some beats. And I feel like this is good because I mean, this is the home of the hip hop and the R&B, you know?
Yes, absolutely. But I can tell you that I can see that there is more DJs in the States, more in DJs that really interesting about learning. I give a lot of private of DJing in Montreal, and even when people come from the state, they take the time to take private with me. Just sometimes I give them just okay. DJ for 15 minutes, mix for 15 minutes, just see what you're doing. Okay, if you do just like this, if you prepare your tracks in advance, if you do this, I just give them small advice and it change some stuff in their mixing, right? But even in Montreal, just with this pandemic, during this pandemic, I gave maybe 20-25 hours of private to a lot of people. So I'm sure that when COVID's gonna let us go, we're gonna have more DJs.
Because then you can create the socials and the parties.
Absolutely. We're gonna have. We can build the community. We can make the community bigger. We can have more parties and stuff, and it's good for the community because the pandemic hit us really hard with because social distancing and all that stuff with dancing. But I'm sure that we're gonna get back to it really strong because people is there and people wanna dance. People are really thirsty of Kizomba.
Definitely. All right, Sync. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. It was awesome to hear your story from when you were a kid, all this kind of stuff. I definitely had my eye on you to do a podcast for a while. I'll be sure to share all your social media links so people can check you out on Facebook and on SoundCloud, where you post a lot of your music. And of course, we'll be so excited to have you again at the NeoKids Festival. Hopefully, if COVID lets us, because I know things are getting a little bit crazy right now, but if everything is on point, then we'll definitely have you again in Austin for NeoKids in July.
I think like in summertime we will be fine because in summertime is always great. So hopefully we cross our fingers. It's gonna be all right. We're gonna do it. And I can't wait to come back to NeoKids. I had this experience in 2018 to be DJing in the main room, in the pool party. The experience of this Omni Hotel is amazing. The place is, the weather, everything is great. We have a basketball court on the near the pool. So that was a really, really, really great experience for me, 2000 the row. And I can't wait to come. I like the energy. I like everything. And I can take people that I have in 2022, I have more tracks coming, a lot of tracks. I didn't post them because I was like, for me, posting tracks is to be able to enjoy them in social dancing too. I was like, if I post all my tracks during the pandemic, we wouldn't have
then there's
the great taste. So hopefully 2022, I'm gonna post more. I produced so much during this pandemic because I had time at home. So I have some stuff for you guys, and I can't wait to share them and to experience the energy on the dance floor and to see people doing demos and they having fun and stuff. So I can't wait to get back to this. And thank you, Charles Ogar, to take the time to do this because it's really great so people can know about your story and how everything started and have a more connection to their DJs, for sure.
Definitely. All right, brother. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for checking out the Dance Your Heart on Fire podcast today. Be sure to check out neokizomba.com for links to everything that we chatted about today, as well as some awesome free resources to enhance your Kizomba journey.